Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
We are doing 2 e-learnings today. We had some conflicts of travel and such in November. So we're doing pushback, which is the November topic, and we're also doing the playbook, which is the December topic. So we are doing one now, and then we're going to have one we're going to record right after this. So there'll be 2 more in the on PSC site, probably next week, right? Okay.
And for those that want to know where the archive site is, it's Professional Salon Concepts YouTube page. And it is linked from our website.
It's on our website.
So these are number 47 and number 48. That's unbelievable. 48 hours worth of this, plus our 18 CDs. And that's a lot of education.
It's a lot of content.
A lot of content, which is good. I mean, I think we still have something to say.
Well, I know you do.
No, well, always.
Always.
Yeah, my mouth just doesn't stop. So, and then we wrote the topics for 2019. So at the end of the next year, we'll have 60 hours. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so here we go. How are you? Are you ready for the holiday season? I know that this is December. We're recording these on December 14th, and you're in the swing of it. You are high volume, high noise, high demands, high stress, and we're wishing you all well. Pace yourself.
Actually, in the salons, these are happy times.
There are very. People are celebrating the holidays with their service provider and the people that take good care of them.
And busy makes happy in the salon world. Much better than people sitting or being in the back room wondering when the guests are coming in. So what I would suggest is just a reminder for everyone that during this time where guest count is high, you want to be sure that you're implementing and giving people an opportunity to set up a future reservation. Because typically what happens is we blame not setting up future reservations on being busy, and then January, February tends to be more slow because we didn't set up a future reservation. So just make that part of your daily powwows or your morning meetings, or just something that's clear every single day with your group and your service desk, that we're making sure that we're giving everyone an opportunity to set up their future reservations today while they're in the salon.
Too busy to be.
Too busy to make money sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Too busy to protect the future. All right, so let's go. The first slide is pushback. It's the topic that we're doing today. And the pushback is, it's kind of, what's the pushback when your leadership has to really be in motion, even at a stronger level? I was talking to an employee yesterday, and I said, you know, I was really, really good in the restaurant industry, and I think sometimes I was great in hospitality is because I could walk the business. I mean, what I learned from that has been so, it's hard to even articulate what you learn from a 400 or 600 seat location, that you can walk a business and you can see what the needs are at a glance. Very easily, you can see what employees are giving you the hustle. You can see the ones that are dragging their feet. You can see where the customers look happy, where there's need, where sanitation needs to take place. Gosh, so much easier to be able to identify the needs of a business when you can see it in operation. Sometimes the hardest division for me to understand at PSC sometimes, or the ones to how to help and assist, are the ones I can't see. And the pushback comes from me is sometimes I'll ask questions that can't be answered. And the pushback is, why do you need to know that? Why is that necessary to understand? Let us just do what we do. Well, the trouble with that is leadership has to know what's being done to service the customers. It is not your way is just okay, because we need to know your way, because it's really our way, not your way.
Well, I think too that pushback, one of the things that I would suggest is identify in your business the places that pushback can come from.
Well, that's where we're going to be going next, but true.
Okay, so we'll go there next.
So, well, let's look at change. First of all, why the pushback? It's because you've identified that change needs to happen in some places of your business. Like, this is where we're vulnerable, and we're going to go into that next. But I always think of this when I'm stressed. Stress means change something, or change is trying to take place, and we will not allow it. Now, I don't remember where we heard that from the first time, but I think I just probably sighed louder than anyone in the audience. The first time I heard that, I said, oh my gosh, that's so true. Because usually we've got an employee that's driving us nuts. We either have to change the employee or change out the employee, or change is trying to take place because it's creating a stress fracture for us, and we're living with it. So why pushback is going to happen? Usually because you've identified that change is necessary. So what are the questions we need to ask? When you look at this, it's what's best for us, what's in our way, and what are the business and personal distractions, and are we making excuses? So let's talk about these a little bit.
Okay. So in identifying what's best for us, many times we are just doing what we've always done. And without a recognition of, are we doing it because it's always been done, or are we doing it because it's truly best for us? And when you take a look at that, that's where the need to change sometimes comes from, realizing that doing it a different way could be better.
Well, I think what has happened in the last probably 5 years or 7 years. Remember the first time we were at a meeting and someone said, we just put out an employee full-time to do our social media. And I thought, what? Are you serious? Mm-hmm. And I think it was Josh that said it first. I can't recall exactly. And I thought, wow, I couldn't get my head around it. What is best for us? Sometimes we fight what is best for us. Even on the social media side, some people can say, well, I don't understand it. How I finally have come in absolute concert with on social media is it's letting people know what's taking place here is what we do every day, but it could be the best kept secret if we don't let the world know. Mm-hmm. Right? So we have what is best for us. We need to post our work in our salons. And we have owners that staff still aren't wanting to do anything on social media.
Or the staff posts personally their work on social media with no kickback to the salon brand.
Right.
And that gets kind of dicey. I mean, social media is a big topic, and we're just glancing on one little piece of it. But is what's being posted truly representative of what's happening in your salon, and does it have your way, your stamp, your taste level involved in it, or are we just happy somebody's posting something?
Oh, hey, I've been there.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, thank goodness there's something on there since October 10th versus is it the right things? Is it best for us? And that whole conversation about social media, and we're just on one topic right now. You have to ask these questions on the different things that we're going to be going through. But when you look at what is best for us on the social media side, sometimes they only have a commitment, as Steve said, to their to their personal site, and the salon is where all this work is being done. The salon needs to be tagged. And should you have a social media policy? Probably. Or social media guidelines to help them understand the whys.
I know one of the things that some salons are doing is they're having all of their staff post through a salon page, and there is a person in the salon that approves it before it actually posts to the public. So it's kind of that one step. Photographs are taken. It's looks like it's posted from the staff member's standpoint, but then there's a curator of those posts that says, okay, this one's good, this one's good, this one's good. And I know it's true. Even when I've posted on their site, my posts go through a curator before it gets posted to the site. I think that's just a good practice and a good policy and something to think about.
All right, so let's go back. What's in our way? What's in our way on this social media? We're just doing one topic right now.
Time, know-how,
Consistency?
Yeah, consistency. We can do it for a day, for a week, for a month, but overall, long term, we get lost in it.
So then you think, gosh, how many posts are we going to do a day? Who's going to be assigned a post? What can we accomplish? Because if we're doing it saying who's got time to make sure you make time, that's my favorite. Make sure you make time to post. Who's going to do it?
Well, and the difference too there is make time versus find time. We can find a lot of things.
Or assign time.
You can find a lot of things, but you're never going to be walking along the road and find time laying there for you to pick up. You might find a quarter, a dollar. You might find a lot of different things, but you're not going to find time. We make time for the things that need to be made time for, or we don't. And if we don't, something suffers.
All right, so when we're looking at this, for our changes, what are our business distractions right now in business?
Well, the number one thing that none of us really want to admit is the day-to-day business, the pace, the next guest that's going to be there, the guests that are in the business, and the guests that are calling the business, all of those things that create that stress and create the opportunity for you to just make the donuts, so to speak.
Well, the business distractions, I was on the phone with a salon owner last night, and first of all, she moved her business, and the business is doing beyond her expectations. She has to find some new employees. Her numbers are way up. She's very, very pleased, but she's also very overwhelmed. The other thing she said is I had someone at the front desk who I thought was giving me good information about my business, but he was actually sabotaging my business, so I had to terminate him. And so she said, I'm going into the busiest 2 months of the year, and I had to fire the front desk person that I thought was helping me keep the systems in place. And she said, yeah, I'm a little stressed right now.
Maybe stressed, but your business is better because of it.
Mm-hmm. Well,
that's the thing. Would you rather be in the busiest time of the year with someone at the service desk or front desk that's sabotaging your business? They'd have more exposure and more guests. So you did the right thing, and your business is better for it. It might not feel good right now.
Well,
but
there's personal distractions in people's lives too. And, anytime that there's turnover or someone phones me upset that they've lost someone, I said, have you noticed any personal distractions or noticed any changes in personal behavior in the salon? And 9 times out of 10, they'll say, yeah, she hasn't been the same. I said, so there's a telltale sign there too. Pay attention to that. Are we making excuses? There's so many times that excuses can sweep a problem under the rug. I mean, please don't let dollars excuse inconsistencies in your business and just shove them under the rug. Because being consistent is easier to duplicate success than having people do things their own way. And a lot of times that top producer or the top producers are allowed to get away with things because they're the top producers. Not that it's a good example of what our business is and what we want it to look like.
Well, also understand that any time that traffic and guest count increases, so too do the distractions. It's like putting stress on something. More guests, create more stress, and it will identify, it'll bring out anything that's not really working well in the business at the time. I think back to just a little bit of the week that I've had this week, and certainly there have been those points. There have been those distractions in
Unexpected ones.
Unexpected,
too.
yeah, in every business, whether it be PSC or the 2 schools. Every single business has had its share of distractions this week, whether it be a rescheduling rate of 9% at one of our schools on Monday or Tuesday, when we average about 48 to 50%. That's a big deal. Guest counts there. We're not doing the things we need to. Why is that? We have had distractions on the clinic floor. We've had distractions with team members and whatnot. So those things happen, and they're going to happen more when the traffic count is up because there's more stress.
Okay. So let's look at the business analysis. Where does change need to happen? What do the stats tell us right now? And Steve just gave a great example of that with what that rescheduling rate was on Monday or Tuesday.
Sure. And right now, I also think from a take-home standpoint, many of you, and certainly all of our top accounts, are involved in the fourth quarter holiday selling period, which traditionally is the largest quarter of the year for take-home sales through salons. Here you are, and the average price per piece, because of the gift sets and whatnot that you're selling, is going to be up. But is your take-home overall up? Does it reflect that? Is it incremental increase, incremental business increase, or is it just, okay, I'm kind of happy, retail's up? If we're just talking about retail being up, well, yeah, it should be. That's what we plan for. That's what you plan for.
That's what the manufacturers plan for.
So, but is it up in accordance with where it should be? And I had that conversation about a salon this morning on the way into work, where it's not what it should be. It's up, but it's not what it should be. It's less than, it's kind of holiday sales were at the expense of replenishment for the person's own use. Mm-hmm. And that could be, and again, identified. Is it because of your service providers, your stylists, afraid of sticker shock? Because they're not used to having a bigger ticket at the service desk when they're done, both for services and take-home. So how did we prepare for that? Also, what do your stats tell you about this is also a huge gift card time of the year? Did we prepare for it, or did it just come our way?
We had a salon put in a table this year for gift certificates.
A separate checkout area. Yeah. A couple of them do that. Yeah.
Well, and if you have the room to do it, it's a wonderful thing. But don't make it look like a bad walking into a gymnasium and someone selling tickets for you to go into the gym. It has to be pretty. It has to have a story. It maybe has menu. It has options. People come in and they'll say, "Can I buy a gift certificate?" Okay, what would you like? I guess $100. Versus saying, "Here's some packages we'd recommend," or "This is what we could do," and have it framed and pretty options. Make sure your gift certificates are put in something so it's ready to be exchanged over for a nice gift. Mm-hmm. Presented. So yes.
And remember, what may come about is how can you focus on surprise and delight? There's a few things about gift cards that are important. First of all, they want something to be able to put in a package or give as a gift. There's that opportunity to surprise and delight the person buying it by having something in it for them. Restaurants have spoiled us with that kind of an idea, where you buy a $100 gift certificate and they get a $25 gift certificate for themselves. What are we doing in the salon? Where are opportunities? If someone's buying a men's service gift certificate, is there something that we can do for the person buying it? Or vice versa. You've got a man that's buying a gift certificate for his wife or girlfriend, significant other, and what are we going to do for that person? Mm-hmm. Because they're not expecting it. They're just checking something off their list. They're going in, give me a gift certificate. And now, aren't most of you really trying to build your men's traffic and your men's business? Does your gift card offering reflect that? So again, these are all just in a business analysis. And too much of the time, the calendar page turns and we're just doing the best we can.
Well, all we're doing is doing what we already did. Mm-hmm. On a faster speed. Mm-hmm. Nothing really different and exciting. So what changes and shifts need to be made? And this is where the pushback might come in. We're going into the busiest season. Some of them are scheduling beyond their service needs. You've got to protect the business too. And what do we want to do during this time? If you get pushback from the staff, how are you going to respond to that? If they say, "No, I guess can't," or they make the decision themselves, they're just not going to participate.
Well, and here's where I was going earlier. Pushback can come from the staff sometimes. Pushback can come from your guests. Right now, think about it. let's say that this year the holiday is, the eve is on Monday, the holiday is on Tuesday. Wednesday traditionally is not a busy day, and sometimes employers and salons want to be liked more than we want to take care of business. So we decide we're going to take several days off during the holiday. Well, what effect? You're saying yes you're inviting pushback from your guest who wants to be serviced before the holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're saying yes to the pushback that's going to come from your staff because you're asking them perhaps to work the Sunday before instead of the eve. And so that's different. You're going to get some things. So it's just understanding that sometimes, again, that pushback can come from multiple places.
Here's where we get a lot of pushback in our company, is when we want to make last minute responses, right? And when you talk about the holiday, you shouldn't be talking about Christmas, your Christmas schedule and opportunities on the 14th of December.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was a distraction this week at PSC, talking about our shipping schedule. I had 2 people come into my office talking about what can we do about Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, and they were reading to me UPS's delivery schedule.
Did they change it?
They didn't change it. And I said, this schedule comes out in March. Why are we having this conversation in December on the 10th? I think it was the 10th of December, was Monday. I said, we knew that for 9 months. They said, well, it changed. I said, oh, it changed, good.
Wow.
When did it change? In July. I said, well, we knew it then since July, and we're having this conversation now. And it has an influence on the business and on your business.
So we created the pushback.
We created.
Right. So another thing, you can go to your staff and say, I mean, see, and that irritates me because no one told me this yet. We meet before the year end and say, what are the holiday schedules for the whole year? Because a lot of times we'll get the shipping schedule in advance, and then we talk about what are we going to honor at PSC, what do we need to do. Facts about a specific problem or opportunity may uncover harsh realities. That one is communication.
Mm-hmm.
That one is waiting to the last minute. They got pushback from you. And you weren't informed. I wasn't informed. So the pushback now is from leadership, like, help me understand. So then they're all going to be scooting around, going fast and saying what we're going to do. Here's what I'm thinking about on this. An employee could say, I've asked 5 times what the holiday schedule is. No one answered me. I finally made plans with my family.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're coming to me on the 14th of December asking me if I can pick up that Sunday. And that's going to be our family Christmas now. If I don't do it, I'm going to be the bad guy in the salon. If I do it, I'm going to be the bad guy in the family. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks a lot. So our pushback comes from lack of conversations, lack of meetings, waiting to the last minute, people chasing for information, chasing, please tell me, please share, and we don't get to it. And then we want to know why they're not on board. We got to be careful with that.
Well, and understand that in this business analysis, we're looking at how do we manage the triple win. It's a win for the business, a win for your team, and a win for your guest. That's what you're looking for. Sometimes, especially in last minute, all 3 of those aren't going to win. You're sacrificing the win for one of those because it could be good for the business, could be good for the guest, and it's not good for the team, or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's good for the team, good for the guest, not good for the business, which ultimately then is not good for the team.
So just say something
it's just
like
that circle.
You say to them, hey, I am so sorry. This one got past me. I don't know how. And be honest with me. What can we do? How can we meet halfway? How can we do this? What can we accomplish? Okay, next one. Opportunities are so obvious if you focus on them. If you really take time to focus on them. What are our opportunities for the holidays? Credit cards. What are our opportunities for gift giving? Take home. What are our opportunities for scheduling in the new year? Take them. But if you're not talking about them, they're obvious if we focus on them. But if they're on the back burner, and most of the time, if you have to say, what are the priorities in the business? The priorities in the business are the people on the schedule today.
Mhm.
Whether the people
Next
working,
one in.
next one in. And it's not about how are we planning. I mean, I'm still blown away by the people that don't tell the staff when Christmas is going up, or they don't communicate. I remember asking you, when is it going up in the school? And you didn't know. And I thought, wow, we have to do that here. Number one, I have to be in the room, but number two, it goes a lot faster when everyone's mentally prepared for it. Like, what are we going to do? Let's get this done today. Let's only take one day. I mean, I don't want to take 5 weeks to put up Christmas. And those people that have to have every strand of light perfect, and if you know you are a crazy perfectionist when you're setting up Christmas and need 7 hours to put up a tree, how are you planning for that? And I can have a tree up in 30 minutes because I'm not taking 7 hours to put up a tree. And my trees probably look like it too. But the point is what stress do you put on the business if you have to be a perfectionist at everything you do? I mean, you should be able to turn over a room fast, set it up fast. And I can tell you, we make it look easy here, but it's because we give ourselves a time limit and a deadline of when we want to get that accomplished. Like if there's an event on Friday, we'd like to have it all up on Thursday, if at all possible, so we can just enjoy and look at it on Friday. Not, oh, it's 3 o'clock on Friday. Everyone stop what you're doing and come in and let's start setting up. That puts stress on your staff. It's that last minute stuff that really creates the pushback. And I think the biggest thing I want you to get from this is your pushback isn't because they don't want to change with you. It's sometimes you don't give them the right preparation mentally and with systems in place to change with you.
Well, and also remember that one of the key things that's said about managing millennials right now is that millennials have to know, but they also have to know the why. It's not just the what. And so a lot of times when you're under the gun, when it's not planned for, you only got time to talk about the what. This is what I need right now without the why. And it's hard to gather that millennial support without the why.
All right, let's talk about the diagnostics. All right, so what are the inefficiencies in the business right now? And this might be something you're thinking about for 2019. Maybe you say, gosh, based on this conversation, I'm not changing anything in November, December. I'm going to have them all lay in the street if I do that. So you say, okay, I'm going to pay attention in November, December, and look at ways we could have done better. What is the waste in existing processes? What's the waste in product? What's the waste in manpower? What's the waste in our services because we're not charging properly? What are our missed opportunities, our inefficiencies? I think we shared with you that in our last e-learning is that someone put in not a dessert cart, but a treatment cart. Mm-hmm. And we're all set up. If we look about our inefficiencies, sometimes we have more inventory than we do service. So we could have all these treatments in the back, but we don't do any treatments. So why is that inventory, why are those dollars dedicated to that? What is the waste in the existing processes? And people have gone to and purchased color calculators for waste. You have something in the school that you use.
Mm-hmm. We have a developer dispenser that we know the ratio that should be there between developer and the color application, and we're able to track waste as a result of that. And we also have a electronic scale which knows the measuring. It knows the amount of grams in color, and it knows that color is measuring.
So what were the
regardless,
why you did that?
Well, the inefficiencies is that, first of all, and this is information that you all know, when you're mixing a color bowl for a guest, there's no one size fits all. Sometimes they make an application or a color bowl, and they get partially through the guest and they come back and they make another one. Do they make a partial? Do they make a full? A lot of times they know how to make a full application, so they make that full application, and you wind up doing that over and over again. And then when they're done, I mean, really sobering thing to do is to work your dispensary and or just track, just measure all the waste of color, what's left over of color and lightener at the end of the service. And then at the end of the day, look at it. Green Circle salons, those that are members there, can recycle that or at least treat that waste properly. But it's also an aha when you look at how much of your color is wasted. So the fact of the matter is that there are many salons that do free pours, and that's not scientific. So the whole idea is that no matter how many grams of color I put in, it knows exactly the amount of grams of developer that should go in. So if I'm a little bit over 100 grams or a little bit over 35 grams, it knows and calls for just the right amount of developer. And then if you're measuring the amount of waste that you have, you can adjust that guess formula for the next time.
So you did that to determine ways to improve the process. That machine corrected the problem for you.
Yes. Now, it also has other problems because it takes a little bit more time, and you get pushback from the team because it takes more time. It takes, in a school setting, it takes more supervision.
Where'd you find it?
Actually found it in a salon of ours. I saw it first at Salon Salon in Chicago, Reverie, and then saw it at Cesar in Naperville. And then we added it to our school in Chicago, and probably going to take it to our school in Lombard. Also in Chicago, we use CTC. That's the company that has the dispenser, the developer dispensers. Part of that too is it's a school setting, and we want to expose our future professionals to what's available in the industry when they get out. So it's kind of multi-purpose. We want to teach how to use those because they're going to encounter them in salons, and we want to expose them to how to do that. Plus, we also want to call attention to the need to curtail waste in the salon.
So there's no way to cheat the system.
Any system can be cheated. All they have to do is not use the scale. But they'll have trouble drawing the dispenser, getting enough developer. They can cheat it maybe from a color standpoint. And there's ways to cheat any system.
So the inefficiencies, when we're looking at inefficiencies, inefficiencies just aren't tangible, they're intangible. Our inefficiencies could be our dialogue, our lack of consultation, our lack of service, just saying hello. I was somewhere just recently. Oh, I know. And I walked by a couple of employees, and I make eye contact. I make sure they see me, and these young people do not say hello. And I'm not going first sometimes. And I look at it, and I thought, wow, you missed a golden opportunity just to make a connection with your customer. And they just don't have it.
Because they haven't been taught. They have it. They just haven't been taught.
So waste in existing processes is could be lack of connection with their customers. I'm sure she's doing her job well, but her job is to make sure the guests feel welcome in the business.
Well, but you're not sure because it wasn't obvious.
Well, I didn't train her. Right. I mean, it's a big deal here even, make sure you still have employees that aren't saying good morning when they walk in, right? And it's a big deal to, and I've said this multiple times, I was raised, and if you see me walk in our house at home, what do I say right when I walk in the door?
Well, usually you're smooching Belden.
Oh, the dog, okay.
Yeah.
The dog attacks me, only one that wants to see me. But I walk in the door, and the first thing I say loudly, especially since my mother lives with us now, is hello. And I hear hello like we've never seen each other before. But that's a rule. You don't walk in and not tell someone you're home. And you don't leave and say, you don't just walk out and someone say, where'd they go? You tell people what you're doing, right? So in salons or in in businesses, if they live in a household that you don't have to say hello, that, and even Emma will do it sometimes. She'll walk in the door and go right upstairs to her room and didn't greet the other people. That bothers me such a great deal, and I call her on it all the time. And they're much more comfortable saying hello on their phone, which is bizarre to me.
Yeah, and you know what? There's this thing right now that, and maybe it's just I'm aware of it right now, is that people will say I'm sorry as a throwaway comment. I'm sorry that we didn't give you good service. I'm sorry your color didn't turn out. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry is supposed to make it all better. And we've talked
Our
before
kids do it too.
that there is no elegant way to apologize.
Ever.
Ever.
Even
No one
if
can do it.
Even if you say it 15 times in a row, it doesn't mean you mean it more.
But there's also a part of I'm sorry that says I'm not going to do it again. And that's the part that's missing most of the time. In business, we'll say I'm sorry over and over and over and over again, thinking that that's enough, and it's just not enough.
I had a great young man last night. I was driving home and I phoned my mom, 86, and I said, "What do you have a taste for?" And Junior Whopper. I said, "Oh, okay, I'm going to Burger King." So I drove through Burger King, and the young man, he did such a nice job, and told me the special, and I just ordered. I didn't get a beverage or anything. I didn't get fries or anything. I just got a burger, and I said to him, I said, "You're doing a good job." And I said, "How are you keeping warm back there?" He said, "You know what? That's the hardest part. Everything else is a piece of cake. Just keep him warm out the drive-up window is the only thing that's difficult." A young man, and I immediately thought, wow, he must have been raised with manners and being able to communicate and talk. So our waste in existing processes, we're not talking about haircuts right now, and we're not talking about doing color, because those you can analyze in your diagnostics of your business. But it's the things that how comfortable does your guest look moving through the business? And is it choppy? Is it smooth? Are there things we could do better? And as a result, that's what the things we need to think about to improve the process and say, okay, in 2019, I want to add this to the greeting, or in 2019, we're going to add this to the farewell. 2019, we are going to have a rescheduling station. We're going to be using an iPad on the floor. And you might get pushback where they'll say, I just don't want to do it. We get pushback. I mean, we're testing something right now at PSC, and I said to our sales staff the other day, how many of you would rather use the new way or just call it in? And we have people say, I'll just call it in. They don't want to change. And I always give the example, change is only uncomfortable for a little while. I'm a TV person. I enjoy the TV, and it's always on. And I can get to the point where I can even do the TV without looking. But I can remember when Steve had the service come out and they gave us new remotes. I thought, are you kidding? This just ruins my whole process. And 2 weeks later, I can't even remember the old remote. Mm-hmm. But during that first few days, I hated the experience. I didn't know what to do. That's what change is like in a business. My pushback was I could either not watch television, which isn't going to happen, or I'm going to learn how to use this remote and love it too. Mm-hmm. And that's what you need to create in the business during the process.
But if we're not saying what the payoff is.
Well, you have to. Right. But you also have to say this is going to, the whys, which make us wise, the W-H-Y'(S), which makes us wise. It's going to help on understanding when you make these changes, you have to work on what are we capable of? Are we asking them to do something beyond their means? Is this only going to be a hot button for us a short period of time, and then it's not going to be a big deal anymore? I remember when we first put the candy bar up, and I thought, I like the candy bar. And then I went there, and there were empty jars of candy, and I said, no. Either we're doing the candy bar, but I better not see it empty anymore. This is our commitment to have a candy bar, and it's been full ever since. If I wouldn't have said anything about those empty bowls, it would have just dwindled away. So what are our capabilities? Are we asking the business to do something it's really not capable of, or can we do it? Can we accomplish this?
Well, again, what are we capable of, but what are we currently doing? Remember that gap between what we're currently doing and what we're capable of. That's what this process is.
Yes, because it's the gap that exists that can allow your competition to come in and take your customers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this person that's doing a very nice gift certificate area, they're now raised the bar up to other salons in the area that don't do it, right? Mm-hmm. And is it easy? I can't stand in service when you walk up to the to an area, let's say it's Maggiano's, and they're going to have a gift certificate area, and you walk up and they say, "Can you help? Can we help you? What do you need?" Versus, "What gift certificate can I help you with today?" You know it's a gift certificate station, so personalize it to that versus acting like it's a generic.
Well, one of the things that I found interesting, and you'll have to think about how or if this directly relates, but there's a company out in exercise, like video exercise, called Peloton. And Peloton, about a week ago, switched their ads for buying Peloton for someone you love from just buy it to we know that if you buy it now, you don't have time to receive it before Christmas, before the holiday. But what we will have is a gift that you can put under the tree that says it's coming. And so they realized that their business would probably go away once they got to a certain point where people couldn't order and they'd receive it before the holiday. So they planned for that in advance. And I thought that one little nuance, they didn't make a big deal out of it, just became part of their ad now. And I thought it was brilliant.
Well, my favorite ad right now, and I purchased a sweater for you from there. It's called Naked Cashmere. And it says, you don't purchase naked cashmere, you collect naked cashmere. And I love that because it's true. It's very hard to throw a cashmere sweater away. You collect them.
But now I know my gift.
No, you haven't seen it yet. You just know you're getting a sweater. All right. So what are the conditions that have to be in place to have this change go? And, even we're doing this beta test right now, and it's because we're testing our capabilities. We're testing the conditions. We're getting feedback. We need documentation to understand the use. How's the design? How are we going to deliver? What are the details? And don't do change just to change it. Try to anticipate. And it's hard. Every situation is going to bring on a different set of eyes and their truths to what you're doing. I know at PSC, we try to think through all of these things when we're going to implement change. But you miss them. You don't miss them because you didn't want to miss them. You miss them because growth unveils other opportunities within it. And so you want to go through these things and look at, am I ready? And if you realize every time that change is difficult because the documentation isn't there, then start with documentation. It might be your least favorite part. It's one of your least favorite parts is documentation. You like strategy and just thinking about it and concept, but all the details that have to go with it. Steve doesn't want to talk about that. He loves to see the end product and give his feedback during the process. But if we get trumped up on the documentation, then we have to know that that's where we need to start.
Yes, and then there's also an element of this that says, what do I need to learn? Because there's things, as we're looking at capabilities, we don't know. We want to be this capable, but we still have to learn. I'd give a perfect example. I ran across a newsletter that comes out in an area that we're just starting to become capable in. So let's put online ordering. There's a newsletter that came out, and it was just a simple bar graph that they were measuring different things. What I loved about that was is it opened my mind to things that we could measure now, or that directions to take. What should we include in our online ordering? Because other companies that have been doing it for longer measure this and this and this and this and this. And they might be things that, and some of them were things that we haven't even thought about.
Oh, yeah,
including
because
in
if you had to say, if we are launching online ordering next year, which is a goal of ours,
Mhm.
right, to the masses, we're testing it right now. My biggest thing is, what percentage is that going to mean to the business? That's the biggest number I'm looking at.
And mine is, what's the obvious benefit and what are some of the sub benefits that can come from it?
Right. So that's kind of talking about this list right here. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is the pushback hard? I mean, when we first hear about online ordering, the biggest thing is convenience to the purchaser. I mean, a salon owner might be up at 2 a.m. and say, gosh, I just wish PSC was open right now. Well, indirectly, the virtual space, which we have to make sure that's the name on it, is open. I can go in and place an order in 2019. So convenience is a big deal. Now, you have to look at all the capabilities, the conditions, and we can go through a list of this right now on all these things that we've talked about with Brian, right? Mm-hmm. To make sure that these things are in place. And this is a great list for you to do and think about when you're putting change in motion. Coaches, you have to know it, you have to own it, and you have to be able to defend it. That's the biggest thing. Why are we doing this again? I don't know. We thought we should do online ordering. No, we're doing it because the customer is saying it at the top of their voice. They need access to PSC beyond 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. every day. Mm-hmm. Right? So we know it. We have to be able to defend it. And then we have to be able to know the system. I mean,
and we need to be able to bring PSC to this device, clearly, because smartphone is where everybody's going.
So pushback, why would they push back? Why wouldn't they stay in? I mean, do we have people on staff that are saying, why this B2B? Why do we have to do online ordering? I'm sure, but that also means we didn't say enough. We didn't position it, or they weren't part of the process. It's hard to get, I can't even imagine being excited about B2B if I didn't know, and I don't know a lot, right? I know what I'm told, I know what I see, and I know what it feels like to be a customer of ordering online. That part I get. What I don't know...
You're downright world class at that.
Okay. What I don't know...
Olympic gold medalist.
Okay, platinum. And what I don't know is all the things. There's things I ask that I'm told immediately that can't be accomplished yet. Or put that on phase 2 or phase 3 or phase 8. And then I don't want it to be so generic that we look like we're, horse and buggy B2B. But some people would say, why is this necessary?
And for some, it's not. That's the cool part. But for those that it is.
Well, I'm talking about our teammates too.
Yeah, well, you've got all different
age groups
and experience levels.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just never all going to have the same base to work with. We're all different. We're all different based on our life experience. And so you're going to get a bunch of different feedback. And that's why we have to continue to come back to this why and why we did it and so on.
There's people that are on your team that are more risk takers than others. There's people on your team that are more realist than others. Have we ever trained them that change is nothing? We start something, we don't finish it. We start something, we don't finish it. If we're known for that, you're gonna have people in discipline issues because they don't want to go through the hell that's not going to be long lasting.
Produce anything.
That's right. That's right. Solutions. After we've determined the current and potential future problems, we can think about all the solutions and what's the action needed. We're going to implement change and we're going to track the results of change and the timeline. This is what we can expect here and here. It's not always going to be an easy cut and dry thing, but even with what we're doing, I want to see a timeline. Don't tell me, it's phase 2. Well, it's phase 2 August of 2019. When can we're going to implement this change here. We're going to look at it and track the results and see what adjustments we need to make, and then we're going to do this change here. People just want to know. I'm in the know, and sometimes I don't have all the answers. I can't imagine being on the outside looking in and say, I don't know what they're doing in there. So you've got to have them involved in it. The impact.
People support what they helped create.
And I think so. I mean, when you look at impact of change, when this starts happening for us, there's going to be this initial immediate impact of opening it up to everybody after the database, the masses. Then what's the short term, under 6 months, and then what's the long term, and what is our new standard? So you have impact in 3 areas where at one point, let's say 3 years from now, do you remember when we didn't have online ordering? What year was that? I don't even know, because it becomes the new standard.
Mm-hmm.
But during that first 6 months, you're going to be tested by, like Steve said, the internal team, the customers, the system itself will test you, but if it's the right thing. And many of you have done this when you went to software from a book paper scheduler. You know, that was a big deal for a lot of you. And so when you implemented change that time, there's a lot of people that turned the computer off, went back to the paper. They couldn't fight through the time of it. And now pretty much everyone is automated.
Not only are they
That was
automated,
how watching them go through
but many are second or third generation of systems that they've had.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're looking at one. We're a beta for a software system in our schools, and wow! I mean, I would have thought we'd have been up and actually beta live using it, and we're not close. We're not close, and that's disappointment. But I'd much rather be not close when we're not counting on it to run all of our business.
It's tough if you've got someone. That's why during change, a great trainer has to be able to use their voice. You can't live in silence during change. That's the biggest thing I can tell you is you want someone walking the area and saying, this is what you can expect. Try this. We're right here. That's not a problem. You didn't break it. During change, you've got to have people with confidence helping the people with questions. And then you want to remember the enhancements that are always that you're thinking about, saying, well, where do I need change? And this is when you go back to your diagnostics and look at your services, all the services that you do, those steps of the service and how you serve your people. You look at the systems that you have in place to support all the things that you do, the people you have in place, and your facility and equipment. I don't know what enhancements you need this next year. Many times salons think, the thing we're doing in 2019 is we're offering eyelash extensions. Okay, I bet you have more enhancements that are necessary than just eyelash extensions. It might be your training program. It could be sending your new people or start testing them out, or a certification process. There could be a lot of things that you need to do. But most of the time, we don't get pushback if we offer a new service. But boy, do we get pushback if we offer and ask for new standards and systems. And maybe dress code is an enhancement you want to make. And what kind of pushback do you get on dress code still every day?
Every day.
Every day.
And always will. And so will you in salons. It's interesting sometimes that the same thing presents itself as if it was the first time it ever happened.
In a different way, yeah.
So, pushback. I hope that was a great topic for all of you. We enjoyed the chat and the time. We always enjoy that you are willing to spend this time with us. We hope that you are absolutely in the thick of an incredible holiday season. We'll be back with you in a few minutes with the December E-Learning. And until then, until 5 or 10 minutes from now, have a great one.
Bye.